Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ekta Sehgal Malhotra, founder MCUBE. MCUBE stands for Money, Mentoring, and Motivation. The month of July is a month to talk about some unsung heroes and heroines who have it in them to inspire one and all across age groups, across stratas, across gender. Last week, we spoke to a brave heart, Aparajita Agarwal, who shared her journey about the near death experience that she had and the challenges that she faced at every instance in her life. Well, that indeed was Sail to Rise. Today with us is Vanessa Jacqueline Dcruz from Singapore. A very warm welcome, Vanessa. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Vanessa is from Singapore, a motivational speaker and a person who not only speaks from here but also speaks from her heart. The word suffer to empathy, the entire journey of sail to rise, to my mind, gets epitomized by Vanessa. What that journey is, all about Vanessa. How did she go through her entire journey till now? What are her plans going forward? And all of that, we will be talking to you all. But I want to add one thing. A lot of people experience suffering when they perhaps grow up. Because as a child, we have a very protective environment. We have a very happy go lucky life. But for Vanessa, the suffering started from the word go. What is all that? Let's hear it from Vanessa. Once again, Vanessa, a very warm welcome. And
Thank you.
we'd like you to introduce yourself before we start talking about your journey.
Hi, a very good evening. And first, I want to thank Akta for inviting me on this platform to talk about my life. Well, I am Vanessa. I'm a motivational speaker, writer. I'm also the National Secretary for Statistics International Council for Progressive Women, whereby we promote the empowerment of women. Besides me being the National Secretary for AICPW, I'm also a poet. I'm also a freelance event organizer. And I also advocate for the LGBT rights. I recently
Wow.
became the GLTS transgender leader to promote my work as a lady who fights for the rights and also motivate the LGBT community.
Wow. So much you do.
Mm.
Awesome. So as Vanessa said, that there are many causes that Vanessa works towards. She is an event organizer. What she did not mention is that she's an amazing model also. And she loves Indian clothes. She's a big die-hard fan
Yes,
of
yes.
saris. She loves them totally. And I must say, Vanessa, you look stunning in the sari.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really love wearing saris.
Yes. And whenever a sari reaches Vanessa, Vanessa is in cloud nine that when is she going to drape that sari? So
Well, actually,
Vanessa,
when a sari comes to me, I definitely plan a photo shoot for it
wonderful,
because I
wonderful.
love to see myself in my saris, and I believe that being in a sari is actually being me, is being who I really am.
Yes, so that's the common love that both of us share. I too love saris, and every new sari that comes to me has to be worn immediately. So that's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, this lady sitting here who has a smile on her face did not have a very comfortable journey. Let's understand how it was from the time she was born. Vanessa, how was it when you were born and you started to understand yourself a little bit better?
I actually knew who I was at the age of 5. How did I know? Well, because whenever my mom took me out, I would always run into the women's boutique to admire the clothes. At the same time, I always imagined myself wearing them. I just admired the beauty of the female attire, and I felt very close to it. I felt that I really wanted to have a great connection with the female attire that I wear, and also I wanted to be a girl. Now, however, my parents are actually anti-LGBT, and whenever I read into the women's boutique, they would drag me into the bookstore to make me read. And that is how I got my love of reading and also my love of writing. But the thing is, when I was young, I did not think too much of being a girl because I was still at a very young age. I was still exploring things. My mind was still growing, and I was actually enjoying my boyhood when I was at the age of 5. But I remember watching pageants with my mom, and when I watched those pageants, I always imagine myself doing the cakewalk down the ramp, and also admire those awesome gowns that the ladies were wearing. And of course, I didn't want to tell my mom, but I was actually picturing myself in that pageant itself, and that is why I love to organize pageants. When I organize, sorry, when I help organize Miss and Mrs. Singaporean pageant, I really did it with passion, and I'm so happy that it was a great success. So as my journey moved on, as I grew older, I had opportunities to be alone at home because my parents both worked and I was looked after my uncle. So whenever they went to work, I would quietly sneak into my mother's room, open her cupboard, see her clothes, jump for joy, and start wearing them, and try on all the makeup. And I was so happy doing it. Of course, very unfortunately, I was discovered, and okay, I was discovered, and when I was discovered, my parents would cane me for it, and eventually, my mother locked up the cupboard. But once in a while, she being careless, she forgets to unlock the cupboard, and that is always my happiest moment. When I was a teenager and I was getting allowances for my parents, I decided to go and buy my own female attire. However, I was still a closeted cross-dresser at that time because for me, or maybe I would say for many transgenders out there, we go through many phases. So one of the first phase that we actually go through is being a cross-dresser because we haven't really decided whether we want to be a lady. So I would say my first phase was a cross-dresser, and I was a closeted one. That means I was only dressing up at home quietly and hiding my stash. Again, being me, I'm quite a messy person. My stash was again discovered, and every time when it gets discovered, it gets burnt. And I feel very sad. But then again, I always tell myself, no, I will not give up. No, I'm just a born fighter. I save up money again and buy the same. And I start buying female attire again. So the process keeps getting repeated. And as I got comfortable in being who I was, I decided to step out. That means to go out dressed as a woman. I wanted to take that leap. But very unfortunately, at that time, when it was in the 1980s, discrimination against transgenders were pretty great. And I was badly discriminated when I went out dressed as a woman. You know, I was called names, people threw things at me. And I felt very uncomfortable going out. So I retreated back in dressing up at home again.
So you had a setback because people
Yeah,
didn't really accept you the way you wanted to be.
yeah, because at that time discrimination was great, and whenever someone sees a transgender, they may insult her by calling her names, and those names are actually not very good for a transgender to hear, and hence this will cause the transgender to become sad. Their self-esteem will drop to a very low level, and they will lose their confidence.
And in all
So
of this, uh, your parents, were they okay with you stepping out?
no, they were not okay at all. Actually, until now, actually, they are anti-LGBTs. They are actually very conservative and they're very religious. So they are not allowing me to be who I am. But at this stage, right now, they are can say they are quite old and they stop arguing with me because at one stage we had bad arguments about this, and now they actually mellowed down. They actually keeping quiet about it. It's like giving a blind eye. As long as they don't see me dressed up, they'll be happy. So that is practically the situation at this moment.
So when
So
you meet them, do you dress up any different?
no, I actually dress up normally as a guy. Actually,
So
it's very painful. I mean, seriously, it's very painful because I'm in two bodies, and honestly, I gotta tell you that every day I'm having a mind battle with myself. I'm fighting with myself every day, and because of this fighting, it brings on depression. It brings on anxiety.
right.
So, but me always wanting to be who I want to be, me always being a fighter, I found ways to fight against my depression and my anxiety. Hence, that is why I have created those motivational videos that I post every Friday to help a transgender to overcome their depression, their anxiety, to help them build up their confidence and be strong again. So technically, or actually, my own resistance, my own resilience, sorry, my own confidence and my own self-esteem, I build it up myself. Because I told myself, no, I want to live, I want to exist in this world. No, I want to help others. That's always been my passion. I come from a family who always help others. My parents, I want to say that they are very generous to those around them. They were, especially my dad. He goes out and helps people unconditionally. Even though some people may treat him badly or may not be appreciative of what he does, he will still go out and help people. And he's a perfectionist. So I actually follow him a lot because I'm also a pretty perfectionist myself. But I can say I'm not as perfect as him. But throughout the years, I believe that there's a certain limit of being a perfectionist also. So, but in a
Absolutely.
way, I built my own strength, my own resilience, and my own confidence to be who I am. But of course, I couldn't do it on my own. I had friends.
But
My
Vanessa, sorry to cut you here, but that's a very powerful point that you brought out. That a child, it is not basis the gender of the child that the child will decide that how he will or she will be. They all children look up to their parents, right? And that's exactly what you two did. And you mentioned about being two people in one body, a man as well as a woman, right? So there is a question that has come for you from Ila. How did you balance your identities as a man and woman in one body?
it is it is very difficult, but I have managed to do it by calming my mind. Like I mentioned every day, I am bettering myself in being in the wrong body, but I have recognized when my depression is coming, when my anxiety is coming. So I always do something that I like to do whenever I'm facing depression or anxiety. Like I like to go out and eat. I quickly go and find my favorite food. I start writing. I start listening to music. I start dancing, in fact, also. So I realized throughout the years that the mind is a very powerful weapon.
Yes.
I can be fighting, but if I allow my inner fight to get worse, if I allow my mind to become negative, to become to actually uh, sorry, if I allow my mind to become negative and I allow my mind to make me lose my confidence, then I will only bring the onset of my depression. So, like I mentioned earlier, I found ways to beat them, and it was through trial and error. Honestly, I got to admit a lot of people cannot achieve what I've achieved because they will need a counselor to help them. But it is just my character to fight. That is why I'm always fighting to be better, to help society. So, I'm sorry, and I'm a reader of motivational books. So by reading motivational books, I've found ways how to keep my mind positive always. So in my motivational videos, I always emphasize that our mind needs to be positive and we must always stay calm. And I can tell you that one of the best ways to stay calm is to give thanks every morning. To give
Gratitude.
thanks of who we are right now at this moment so that we can live in the present. Because I tell you, a lot of us, we want something that we can never get in life. We are never satisfied in what we have in life. So the best thing you can ever do every morning is to thank yourself that you are alive and also to be happy in what you are having right now. That will
Wonderfully said.
no, that really actually will calm your mind and always look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you are worth it. Whoever
Right.
you are worth it.
True. If we cannot accept ourselves the way we are, I don't think anybody would ever understand us or accept us. The acceptance has to be our own first, and then it could be of someone else. And ladies and gentlemen, Vanessa is still trying hard for the acceptance for her family, which is a big thing. To be able to be loved by your own family members, to be able to be with them the way you want to be without being judged. And here, as she acknowledged that she is living the life of two individuals in one body, in order to make her parents happy, she dresses up like a man, but her heart and soul is of a woman. Vanessa, when you were growing up, and even now, you mentioned about confidence. You mentioned about, going back and forth into depression, right? You mentioned that this that we have is the most powerful tool that we have, right? Uh, a lot of people go through challenges in life, right? And they find excuses to feel like a victim of misery and suffering. And here, by birth, your challenge, your struggle has been with you. So, could you share an instance where you felt very demotivated, but you bounced back gracefully? And what did you learn in that?
Mm, let me recall. Okay, yes, I remember going to a party and I was totally isolated. Everybody ignored me. Actually, they were actually talking between one themselves and making fun of me. Now, just imagine when you go to a party and somebody make fun of you, and the host does not do anything at all. How would you feel? I felt very
Terrible.
bloated. You know, this host invited me to a party. At least she should respect me who I am. She should tell the people there to entertain me, make me feel welcome. Now, I'm not asking them to sing songs with me. I mean, just make me welcome so that I can communicate with them. But none of them did. I felt isolated. I thought that they didn't want me at all. And it brought my confidence level to a real low level. And I actually started to cry there. Eventually, I just took my bag and just ran out of the place and went to my favorite cafe and had my favorite drink. Like I always say that when I want to help myself to become stronger again, I will find something that I like to do. One of them is to drink coffee. So I went there to drink coffee and I actually sat down to think about the situation. And that is when it made me realize that a lot of transgenders like me are actually facing the same situation that I am facing. So instead of being sorry for myself, why not I start motivating them? So that was the day that the seed of motivational, sorry, the seed was planted in me to help the transgenders to live a better life. So that also was a day where I started to plan to see how I can motivate people because I managed to recover, and I believe that if I can manage to recover from that situation, other transgenders can do so. So
Very true.
So I'm actually using my experiences of what I've gone through in life to help to help to help the transgender community in Singapore itself and also around the world.
Yes. So, when you started to motivate others, when you came in the public forefront to talk about things, to talk about motivation and encouragement to the community and to many others also, did you face resistance? How was it taken? They were they all willing to listen to Vanessa, or there were doubts, questions?
Well, when I wanted to embark on this motivational project, I actually spoke to some transgenders and they actually cut me down. They told me not to do it at all. They said that nobody will listen to you. They told me that if I go out into the public, I will only be humiliated. I will only be discriminated more. They told me to keep quiet, just live a private life and do not rock the boat. Of course, I thought about this, but I was thinking, if I do not go out, into society and educate society who we are, to motivate the transgenders to be better, to help them become who they are, then I'm not going to help society at all if I don't do it. Because if I don't do it, who's going to do? Nobody wants to do. As I as I realize that that most transgenders, they want to live a very private life, and they don't want anything to hurt them because they are actually very scared. Because I understand they have gone through discrimination, they've gone through humiliation. So because of this experience they have gone through, they don't trust society at all. So I
Yes.
realize is, if they are not going to do it, then I'm going to do it. No matter what happens to me, I'm going to step out into society. I'm going to prove that we can still live as human beings. We can get the respect of who we want to be. And one day, the world will just rise up and say what a great community we are. So that has always been my mission. And recently, a transgender came up, sorry, a transgender messaged me on Facebook. She told me that she was very proud of my work. I'm also very happy that my work is also getting recognition now because actually, honestly, it's been about 1.5 years plus, and only now it's taking off. But I'm glad it's taking off. But this transgender came to me and told me, said that, why don't I move in the direction where I can make society as one, where the label of the LGBT community can be removed. Because we are all human beings, we all should be living in one community. There shouldn't be any labels. And when we have labels, there are excuses to treat us differently. There are excuses to create laws to treat us differently because we are labeled. And I was thinking about it. That's quite a good idea actually. And I'm now thinking of how I can go about making society as one. Yes, we will always be living in this world. We will always be transgenders. We will always be unique. Because I never like to use the word different. Because once I say we are different, people can look excuse can find excuses, sorry, to treat us differently. We are just unique because we are all humans. So I'm looking at that direction at this moment.
Very rightly
I
said. And I'm so glad that you did not deter when you thought of coming out and supporting the community, and you didn't listen to the other fellow members of your community, because had you done that, perhaps you would have lost your own self. And indeed, firstly, thank you everyone on Facebook and YouTube who have joined us and who is watching this conversation live with Vanessa Jacqueline Dcruz from Singapore. There is a very powerful message that Vanessa is conveying to us about an inclusive society, irrespective of the caste, creed, gender, sexuality, color, or whatever, ethnicity. Why can we not be one? Why can we not accept? In India, specifically, we have seen emotions against the transgender community, where perhaps a lot of people fear them, at the same time, respect them, and say that if there is a blessing that comes from them, that blessing is worth millions. But at the same time, people are scared of them. I stand guilty because we were never exposed to that part of the world that that is also a reality. Vanessa, when we were talking earlier, I'd mentioned that in India, at least that's what I know. I'm not too sure how far that is true. But if there is a birth of a transgender, the members of the transgender community come and take the child away to imbibe them in their society because of the fear of uh, no acceptance in the conventional living, right? And the way they are viewed, as you also mentioned, that you were abused, you were humiliated. But I must say that hats off to you to have taken that stand for yourself and for many others like you to support them. And ladies and gentlemen, Vanessa is not only encouraging and motivating the transgender community, but she's a woman by soul, by heart. She supports women and encourages them to come forward and do a lot of things. We'll talk about all this, but there is a question that has come, a question and a comment for you, which is from Reena Singh. Rock on. You are a special soul, Vanessa. My best wishes to you. It will be great
Thank
to
you.
know what was the best ever moment that you experienced in the last 2 years of COVID time.
The, the best moments that I've experienced in the COVID time is actually my knockdown. My knockdown actually transformed me. So now, okay, because there was a period in Singapore where we were going to be locked down, and I was very scared. I was very scared that I would not be able to survive. And at that moment of time, I actually lost myself. I actually went through 3 emotional depressions. But as I went through my depressions, the universe actually helped me. Now I'm going to relate this story. Why the COVID-19 is one of the best experiences I can ever experience in my life. So during my depression journey, one of my friends created a reading group and invited me. She persuaded me to join this reading group to help me to overcome my depression. Now, I was very skeptical about it, but something in my head kept knocking and telling me to please go and join the group. Please start reading right now and help yourself. So I joined the group and she introduced me to some motivational books. And those motivational books actually helped me to become more positive in life, to help me to give thanks to whatever I have in life. So that was the first time, that was the first step that helped me to overcome my depression. Then I had 7 books that I purchased on the eve of COVID-19. Now, these 7 books I have been fighting for, so I've been finding it for 4 months, but I only found all the 7 books on the eve of COVID-19. So now I'm a lover of reading. So while I read these 7 books, I actually created worlds for Vanessa, where she can live in these worlds. So by reading these books, I realized that if I can tune my mind into thinking something else, I won't feel my depression at all. So this was the time I realized the power of the mind. And another obstacle I actually faced was I couldn't obtain my hormonal pills, but my friend from Thailand called me and asked me how I was, and I told him I had this problem of obtaining my pills, and he just told me, okay, no problem. Tell me what I want, and I'm going to ship it down to you. So I
Wonderful.
realized there were elements that were helping me to get over my COVID-19 lockdown and make me stronger. And eventually, when the COVID-19 lockdown was released, I received my very first award. It's called the She Invited Me Award. Now, that is another story to tell, but it'd be another long story. But I received that awesome award, which really inspired me to help society even further, to expand my work. And eventually, I realized that I had a story to tell. And when I had this story to tell, I actually co-authored with 47 authors to write about COVID-19 lockdown. So I became a co-author.
Wow.
So I realized that, even though the situation was bad, it was still my best situation because it gave me a purpose to live. It gave me a way to look at how I can control my mind to live a better life, and also to help the transgender community to understand the use of to teach them to learn how to use the power of the mind so that they can survive their hardships in life.
Amazing. So Rina is asking you, could you share the name of one or two books that you read during this time?
One of the books is called The Secret, and the other one is called The Alchemist.
Wonderful. Both the books are amazing. Secret and The Alchemist. Awesome. There are some amazing, I won't call them comments, but blessings and words of appreciation for you, Vanessa. Allow me to read. The Aprajita says that you are such a bright, beautiful person. More
Thank you.
power to you. We have Mohini Babbar. She's an astrologer, and she's saying you are a pure soul, and may Lord Shiva bless you.
Thank you.
Nirupama saying you're a brave woman. She wishes more power to you.
Thank you.
You indeed are a woman of courage, strength, resilience. And I think I could just keep on adding many and more adjectives to your credit. And I think what you're doing is absolutely commendable to give that respect, to give that dignity to the transgender community, having yourself experience the humiliation and perhaps still not being accepted in its entirety. What are the emotions, Vanessa, that a transgender experiences when there is a kind of a dilemma whether to continue to be a boy, a man, or a woman, or to do that cross dressing that, as you mentioned, is the first step? What are the emotions that they go through, and how are they able to get over those emotions, to have that strength to bring out their own identity?
As I mentioned earlier, a transgender go through many phases. So initially, they only may be cross-dressers. They may not have come to terms of who they are yet. But as they go along their journey, as they discover themselves, they will start to realize who they are. Some may stay as cross-dressers, some may just stay as a transgender, some may want to go to the next step to change their sex. Now, all this depends on their opportunities in life. So what I'm trying to say is, not every transgender faces the same opportunity. Some may be lucky, some may be less lucky. Some may be still finding themselves, some may still be facing a lot of discriminations. Some of them may be enjoying life right now because they may have been given awesome support to become who they want to be. Now we need to realize that there are transgenders who are in different situations around the world. And I can say that some transgenders in the world fear for their lives because when they step out of the house, they'll be murdered. I'm lucky to be in Singapore because it is a pretty safe country. Nobody wants to murder me, but in other countries, people want to murder a transgender. So we need to realize these situations that they are in. The only thing I can do is to help them to find themselves. As I mentioned earlier, in my motivational videos is to help transgenders to create a positive mind, to make their mind calm, to see who they are, to help them set their goals in life, to give them the confidence. But ultimately, they are the ones that must help themselves. I'm only a guidance. They must find their own way to help them to become strong. Now, I know a lot of people want to become strong out there. And there are some transgenders who come to me and ask me, hey, I wish I can have your strength. I wish I can be you. I always tell them, don't be me. I am me, but you are not me. You be you. Don't copy me. Just be yourself. My motivation is just to guide you. Sometimes they may not even be useful to you. You may find other ways to become better. I'm happy with that. But very importantly, transgenders, when they face many discriminations, of course, I can understand that confidence level is way low. They find it very difficult to trust society. And because they do not trust society and nobody wants to love them, they can become suicidal. And I've known of transgenders who have taken their lives because they have not been accepted in society at all. So I just hope that my motivation videos can give them a life. At least give them the basics to survive, because I want them to survive because I know what they are going through.
Yes.
Of course, I want those people who are lucky enough to live their own life to help their other fellow transgenders. I always emphasize that we need to be a community. We need to be a unit. You know, there's a saying, if, if you take a chopsticks, you can break it easily. But if you take a bunch of chopsticks, you cannot break it at all. It's very difficult. So I always emphasize that we must become a unit. We must stop fighting. We must not be jealous of one another, because some transgenders do become jealous of one another because when they see some transgenders having a better life, they won't be happy. This shouldn't be the way. We all must come as a unit together. We must help one another, because just think of who you have been and what you have become now. Help others who become just like you. We must always give back to society. That is one of my mottos: give back to society.
Yes. The inclusiveness of everyone, and as I mentioned earlier, the inclusiveness, the dignity, the respect that every human being or living being for that matter deserves needs to be kept in mind. Something which is beyond your control. Why are we harassing people because of this? They are humans. They also go through the same set of emotions, perhaps more. And as Vanessa said, why would you want to be like me? Just be you yourself. And that's applicable to each one of us, right? Not just to the transgender community, but for everyone. Why are we always trying to compare ourselves or look at someone else, how their life is? Because you wouldn't really know what is going on there. Somebody may think that, oh, everything is so hunky dory, everything is so good in their life, but what they go through, perhaps if you look at Vanessa's pictures, you may not even have an, slightest of the idea that she has experienced depression or those emotions that she just shared with us. Vanessa, hats off to you to actually hold yourself strong, stand tall on your beliefs, and not only are you motivating yourself, but you're motivating many and more. across the genders. There is a question, and thank you, Rina, for asking this question. Tell us a few points, Vanessa, that we should we should keep in mind and get sensitized so that we are able to give respect and love to people with this special gift. How do we sensitize people about the transgender community, about the LGBT community?
How do you respect your loved ones? It's the same way how you respect the transgender community. There's no difference at all, actually. When you see a transgender, wish a transgender good morning and just ask, how have you been today? Make them smile. Do not see a transgender and ignore. A transgender knows when he or she is ignored because we have feelings. There's one thing about transgenders. Our heart is great because we actually love society and we want society to love us. We believe in love. So when we believe in love, our feelings for people is actually enhanced. So therefore, we have the power to feel what other people feel. We can easily feel people's negative energy or positive energy. That is also a double-edged sword for us because if we feel negative, if we feel negative energy of somebody, it will bring us down. And yet again, I'm going to repeat this. I'm helping them to stay calm because I know that some transgenders are going to face this situation where they're going to face they're going to face negative energies. And when we face negative energies, we must always stay calm. We must always remain our mind to be positive again and again. I cannot stop emphasizing this. So make a transgender happy. Wish the transgender good morning. Ask them how they are, and if you are going out with them, especially if you are going out with a group of girls, and you want to talk about certain conversation that may affect a transgender, say you want to talk about periods. Of course, you need to understand that a trans woman is different. We don't have the same reproductive organs as a normal woman. So if you want to talk about periods, you can just ask a trans woman whether it is okay if we have this conversation. And I can tell you that she will be very happy to say yes because she will feel accepted, she will feel acknowledged that you are actually acknowledging her and she is part of the group. So these are just simple acts of kindness you can make a transgender to feel comfortable in life. It's very plain and simple. You don't have to think too much. Love the way you love others and do the same thing with the transgender community. Just believe in this line.
Totally with you on this that if the acceptance is there and if we treat them like another human being, the way we would of the other gender, perhaps life would be better for everyone. But the human mind actually finds it very difficult to go beyond the conventional thought process that one has. However, having said this, there have been many changes that have happened in the constitution in many countries where the acceptance is there of male, female, and the other gender. There is a question that is there in my mind that I want to ask you. And again, with limited knowledge that I have about this, as a child, I always saw the transgender community always on the roads, okay, requesting for some money or food to be given to them, and not having a life of dignity in terms of education, in terms of work, because the community was a very closed community and would not come out in the open and would only be seen during the time of a wedding or of a happy occasion, and would always be dependent on uh, the money that somebody would give them, either out of free will or under compulsion. And that led me to think that perhaps they're trying to find an easy way out. is the acceptance of the community there in terms of education, in terms of work at the corporate places? Is that happening world over? Would you like to throw some light on this?
Now, the infrastructure of education, the infrastructure of jobs for the transgender community need to be created in a way so that all transgenders will be will be given the same rights as other people. That means the governments of those countries that the transgenders live in must provide them jobs, the same kind of jobs that other people are actually working in. They must also be given the correct education, the proper education, so that we bring up the community as a whole. Like I mentioned, that I want the community to be one. Can you see the logic now? When the community is one, we are not differentiated at all. That means every one of us enjoy the same rights. We enjoy this. We are able to get the jobs that we want. We will be able to obtain the education that we want, despite of our sexual orientation. There will be no difference made despite your sexual orientation, your race, your color. Everybody will be one. Now, unfortunately, this is not really happening in some countries. Those countries that have great political representation, those countries that have great political representation for the LGBT community, they are helping them to get the jobs that they want. They are helping them to get the education that they want. They are helping them to live the lives that they want. They are helping them to live a comfortable life. And there are also countries that the government do not represent the LGBT well enough. So the LGBT are actually suffering. They're not given the jobs that they want to do. They're not given the education that they want to obtain. So therefore, this affects society. If you do not educate your own countrymen, then you are going to create upheavals in your own country. You are going to create more sex workers. That is happening in the transgender community in countries at which they cannot find any job at all. They want to find a job, but they cannot find a job. So the only thing they can do is work as a sex worker, because one transgender once told me, said that there were not many people to love us. There are not many people who want to accept us, but there are many people who want to have sex with us. So why not we just make it a commercial value? And then when I heard that, it was very sad, because in my own country, transgenders have told me that they have applied for jobs and they had those closed on them. They did not obtain their jobs because they were transgenders. So they had no choice but to become sex workers. This is a very great problem in my own country and in other countries. So if I have the opportunity, I want to advocate that transgenders in any country should be given the jobs that they want to do, and also the education that they want to obtain, so that they can live the life that they want. There shouldn't be any difference at all. And I'm also very proud of India, because I've seen that the government is actually helping the transgenders there. Of course, I know that there's a lot of work to do because there are still discrimination going wrong, but I'm very happy that the Indian government is actually helping the transgender communities in certain parts of India. And thank you so much.
Yes, there has definitely been a lot of changes. And as I was sharing with you earlier before we went live, that I was about 5 or 6 years old, or perhaps 8 years old, when I saw one transgender at a railway station asking for some help. And one of our family friends wanted to give him money, to which the money was refused. And all the person said was that, don't give me money, help me get a job, let me get a livelihood.
Yeah,
And
because
that
they don't
still,
want sympathy at all.
exactly,
Transgenders do not want your sympathy. So yeah, we do not want your sympathy. We want your help.
yes, exactly. It is not the sympathy that is needed by anyone. The word is empathy. Empathy is something that we need to have towards every human being, to understand the emotions, to understand the challenges that they go through without being judgmental, and understanding what they go through. Vanessa, there are a few questions that have come for you. There is a question from Monica for you. Do you feel that you who have got the acceptance now? If yes, what was the turning point for you when you started experiencing positive behavior of people towards you?
You got to know something. The real acceptance I had was when I went to India. When I went to India for the first time, I felt the unconditional love of your citizens. As I mentioned earlier, I'm actually a pageant organizer, and one of my pageants will be organized in India. Now, I was actually afraid about how the people of India was going to treat me, so I was scared. I honestly got to tell you, I was scared. I was nervous. But when it was sorry, but when it was the time to meet them, all of them came up to me and hugged me. Now I was at a loss, totally at a loss, because here me being frightened, and all of a sudden people come and hug me. I was totally lost, and that is the day where I felt true acceptance. I felt totally loved, and I'm going to tell you that the true acceptance that I felt was in India, and because of this, my heart is still in India. I really miss going to India actually.
I'm so happy to hear this. And
Because,
thank you.
because I never experienced this kind of acceptance in Singapore itself. I would say that the acceptance level in Singapore is about 30%. I do have friends that have accepted me or who I am, so I stick to them, but they are actually countable by my fingers. But nonetheless, I've already told myself that in order to survive, be with the people who accept you. You know, in this world, 50% will not accept you, 50% will accept you. So just be with that 50%. So that is how I live my life. It's a strategy actually. See, my life I need to plan. I need to plan how to survive. So I learn how to survive. Sometimes I need to think too much. Just be with the people who accept me and be happy. That is how I
True.
survive.
Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that your India trip was the turning point and brought so much of happiness. And indeed, you are quite connected to India. There is another question from Ela. While fighting for acceptance, did you at any point of time think of quitting the fight? After all, it's not easy to fight with your own family and society.
At one point, I was banging the table to fight for acceptance. But then I realized that the more I fight, the more trouble I will become. So just let's not fight. Just go with the flow. I'm a student of emotional called Aikido, and when I was studying for 15 years, one of my instructors told me that sometimes in life do not fight. Go with the flow. Feel the energy of the person. Try to harmonize your energy with that person. I always remember this teaching. So it has come to a point that I do not want to fight anymore. I just harmonize my energy with the person I'm with. If the person does not want to accept me, so be it. I'm not going to fight it. I'll just move on. Because I always tell myself that I have a life to live. I have my own life. I find my own life to live. Nobody's going to help me in finding my own life.
Very true.
So I've come to a point where, like I said, I mix with people who accept me. But of course, in life, we must also somehow live with people who don't accept you. And sometimes you may find yourself working with people who don't also accept you. So how do you go about that? Well, like we just do our work. If the person just wants you to work, you work. You just, like I mentioned, you feel the energy. If the energy is to work, just work. And after the work, just go back to the people that you love. You don't fight it at all. Because all of us sometimes like to fight to get what we want. We must get what we want. The more we fight, the more trouble we are. The more heartache we give ourselves. What's the point? Start living, start enjoying. I always believe our life is short. Enjoy life. Enjoy life. Enjoy what we have now. Just enjoy our life. Don't fight. Be calm, be
Exactly.
positive.
Absolutely. Indeed, Vanessa, you suffered, you accepted, you introspected, you learned from all of that, you rose with respect, you imbibed all your learnings, and you moved on a mission to spread awareness with a smile on your face and to empathize. You truly, truly denote sail to rise. And before I let you go, as much as I would love to talk to you and know, a lot more about all your endeavors that you do, uh, I would like, or rather request you, and that's also a question that has come from Monica, that if you could summarize your experiences and learning in 5 points, what would they be? The 5 key learnings that you've had throughout your life till now.
One is to be positive, to be strong, to be resilient, to have the courage, and also to have grit. To have grit in life is very important because we can have the passion to do what we want. But if we do not have the grit, we cannot continue our passion. For example, a runner, he can be the best runner in the world. But what is it that he must have to keep him being the best the runner in the world? And that is grit. So for a transgender out there who wants to maintain their confidence in life, to build who they want to be, to become who they want to become better every day, they must have grit in their life. They must keep on having the passion to become better. Because if you don't have grit in life, somebody else will become better than you. So those are the 5 things I always believe that we must always
Wonderful. That's a
have in our life.
beautiful depiction of a emotion which normally is considered as negative, and that is greed. I think,
Sorry,
Vanessa,
sorry, not greed, not GREED, is greed, GRIT. Sorry.
grit. Oh, sorry, grit. Of course, yes. But what I gather from you is a journey of a human being, the emotions, the challenges, converting those challenges into opportunity, having to accept. who I am and not really fussing and fighting the acceptance of the others. Yes, I will not say that it doesn't hurt. I am sure it does. Like if somebody tells me that, oh, you're not the thin kinds, I would struggle emotionally. Ki, why am I not thin? But the day I accept my own body structure, the way I accept that, okay, I am short, I cannot be tall because I could lose weight, but I cannot grow tall from here. The acceptance of your own self is the biggest win that anyone can has. And congratulations, Vanessa. The biggest battle, the fight that anybody can have is with oneself. And you have very gracefully won that battle. And I'm sure all the other battles, all the other challenges, you will be able to deal with them with utmost grace, confidence, the grit, the resilience, the vigilance that you have. And you truly are a sail to rise ambassador for us. And thank you, Monica, for echoing my thoughts. Thank you so much, Vanessa, to give us a sneak peek into your life about all the sufferings, acceptances, learnings that you have gone through, that you have shared with us. And I would like to re emphasize it is not sympathy that anyone is ever looking for. What one looks for is empathy. What one looks for is respect, a life of dignity for one and all, be it any gender, any age group, any complexion, any sexuality. The acceptance has to be there. If we, the people of today, will accept this, perhaps we will be able to create a chain where humanity would be given preference and not the gender. The quality of the person, the ability of the person would be given more weightage than what gender he, she, or them belong to. If whatever you heard today resonates with you, make that effort of acceptance. And a very simple statement Vanessa shared with us. If you meet a transgender, say hello, good morning, good evening. Greet them with love and affection, and perhaps we will see a better world. Truly sail to rise. Thank you, Vanessa,
Thank
from
you.
the entire team of MCUBE, Ela Divedi, Monica Goyal Divan, and myself, for sharing your journey, for speaking your heart out with us, and for truly being that motivator and that fighter and encouraging many of us. Thank you so much. We are indeed grateful to you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I really feel very happy that the trip you made to India was a turning point for you. And hoping when things get better, you will visit India again, and
Yes,
we will get a
definitely. That's the
chance to
first thing I
meet
will
you.
do. That's the first thing I will do. I'm just
And
dying to go back to India.
yes, and I, if I ever make a trip to Singapore, I promise that I would definitely meet you. And it's been a while that I've been to that amazing country, but I would certainly want to meet you. And when I meet you, I'm going to give you a tight hug.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for showering so much of love and blessings to for Vanessa, and for hearing her share her emotions, her journey. The journey is still not easy. There would be many hardships that would come her way. But if we support each other and we bring in the inclusiveness, I am sure we will all be able to make a difference. With this, we come to an end to this amazing conversation with Vanessa. So, Vanessa, thank you once again. More power to you. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be again with you all on Sunday, not the Sunday that will come, but on 18th of July with yet another powerful journey of fail to rise. So stay tuned for the details. And thank you so much once again from the bottom of my heart. God bless you all. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay.